Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising you with new topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC. And we are back with another episode for you all today. We, of course, are going to be recapping everything that went down at UFC Tampa this past Saturday. Colby Covington sadly lost. It's always weird that I root for the villain usually in the UFC, and I'm sad when the villain loses, but you know what? We'll be looking at everything. We went 8-5 on predictions, and we'll be discussing my final total of the year for correct compared to incorrect UFC predictions. Also on today's episode, we're going to be looking at Week 15 of the NFL season, talking about everything that went down, the top fantasy performances, and the standings for each team. This is, of course, being recorded before the doubleheader on Monday Night Football, Falcons and Raiders, Vikings and Bears. We are rooting for the Vikings, and in that Falcons and Raiders game, I guess I'm just rooting for Brock Bowers for fantasy purposes, so just so you all know, those games have not taken place yet. Also going to be reviewing and giving my thoughts on Dexter New Blood, the sequel series, whatever you want to call it, to Dexter. Of course, big Dexter fan, just recently went through and watched Dexter, and I watched Dexter New Blood, so I'm going to be giving my thoughts on that series. Also going to be talking about Saturday night's main event, the latest big WWE event, whatever you want to call it, the final one of the year, if you will. New UFC fights, new things in pop cultures. I watched some movies this weekend. We got all sorts of fun stuff for you. This is my last day here in Mankato before I go home for spring break, and then once 2025 begins, it's my final year of college. Isn't that crazy? They tell you it flies by, and it does fly by, but I'll tell you what I'm happy I started. It's this podcast. I love this podcast. I love everything it stands for. Let's get into things. First off, new UFC fights, new UFC news. In terms of new UFC news, right off the bat, Dana White recently said today that his most anticipated fight for 2025 is Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. It's happening, guys. I don't know when it's happening, but it's looking like it's a go-ahead. It's looking like we're going to get Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. I don't know who I'm going to pick. Honestly, I don't know who I'm going to predict for that. I've been so high on Tom Aspinall. He has just gone out and fished everyone in a minute. It's been incredible, but Jon Jones is Jon Jones. Looking what he did to Stipe, looking what he did to Cyril Gane. He's made this jump to heavyweight seem very easy. And those close decisions against Dominic Reyes, Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, those days seem over. And now he's in a more finishing mindset. He's in a legacy mindset. And Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall is going to be insane. So looking forward to that. It seems to be that is confirmed. It's all but actually physically confirmed. Dana White has verbally said, I want to make this fight, and I hope to make it happen. He also said that they're going more global, which I absolutely love. The UFC, it's been very United States based. We go overseas maybe once a month, once every 2 to 3 months, but Dana White said he's trying to break into other markets. Let's go to Europe. Let's go to Poland. Let's go to the Czech Republic. Let's go to Georgia. Let's go to Spain. Let's go all around the world. Okay, I'm excited for 2025 in the UFC, and we got some official fights that have been confirmed, so let's give them to you. First off, this one, heavyweight division going down in UFC Seattle, February 22nd. We're talking about going global. We're going across the United States even more. We haven't been to Seattle in, I don't think since I've started watching UFC, they've gone to Seattle, but this one, not even the main event. The number 5 heavyweight in the world, Curtis Blaydes, 18-5 professionally, coming off of, what happened to Curtis Blaydes last time out? Did Curtis Blaydes... Oh, he got knocked out by Tom Aspinall. That was the last time that he fought, which he technically holds a win over Tom Aspinall, which is weird to say. But Curtis Blaydes, the number 5 heavyweight in the world, is taking on the debuting Rizvan Kuniev, 13-2 with 8 finishes. I have no idea why this is happening, but it's happening. Rizvan Kuniev, just a big old Russian boy. I don't know who decided he should be fighting Curtis Blaydes, but you know what? He's fighting Curtis Blaydes now. I find this ridiculous. I find it absurd, but I absolutely love it. They don't know who Curtis Blaydes should fight. And honestly, when we talk about the UFC rankings in the heavyweight division, pretty much everyone has fought in one another. The only possible matchup I could think for Curtis Blaydes would be the winner of Sergey Spivak and Halton Almeida, and they just fought. So it's pretty confusing. I actually kind of like this move. Rizvan Kuniev will either win or you're going to be seeing a typical Curtis Blaydes masterclass. So that fight, UFC Seattle, should be exciting. Here's one for you. The main event for UFC Saudi Arabia going down February 1st, 2025, middleweight division. The number 2 ranked middleweight versus the number 5 ranked middleweight. That's right. It's Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. I love this matchup. I truly love it. I didn't know if they were actually going to pull the trigger. They had been rumoring this for a while, but it's officially confirmed by the UFC. Israel Adesanya, of course, coming off of that loss to Dricus du Plessis, looking to bounce back. I mean, legend of the game. He's knocked out Robert Whittaker. He's knocked out Oxbara. He holds a win over Anderson Silva, one of the greatest middleweight champions of all time. As for Nasruddin, he's an up-and-comer, man. 15-4 professionally, 7-2 in the UFC. He has not lost since, I'm trying to remember, 2023 when he lost the decision to Sean Strickland in his first UFC main event. Since then, he's beaten Brendan Allen, beaten Jared Cannonier, beaten Roman Dolidze. He's been on the run of a lifetime, and it looks like, actually, you know what? He's gone 3-0 in 2024. What a year for what's-his-face, Nasruddin Imavov. Absolutely love him. I'm excited to see how he performs against Israel Adesanya. You know, it's definitely going to be a more heavy grapple approach because, you know, even Dricus du Plessis isn't silly enough to strike with Adesanya all straight out. So that'll be interesting to see. But Nasruddin, you know, the hands we've seen against Cannonier, the hands we've seen against Roman Dolidze. But as for the grappling, that was really on the tablet or whatever, you know, on the table when he was taking on Brendan Allen in September. So we'll see what he uses when he faces Adesanya. But I do really want to pick Nasruddin for that. But thankfully, it's not till the start of February, so I get a month to mull over my decisions. Here's another one for you. The co-main event for UFC Saudi Arabia is this one is insane. This one is absolutely insane. The number 14th ranked UFC middleweight, Shara the Bullet Magomedov, 15-0 undefeated, 4-0 in the UFC, takes on the number 13th ranked welterweight, Michael Venom Page, MVP versus Shara Bullet. What in the world? What in the world? Are we just giving fans the fights that, you know, we didn't even know we wanted to see, but we do? I mean, rankings-wise, this doesn't make any sense. But in terms of style, I mean, these are two of the goofiest, most unorthodox styles you'll ever see. Shara Magomedov won his last fight by double spinning back fist. I mean, what? And Michael Venom Page literally moves his arms like an inflatable figure, if you will, during his fights. He's super entertaining. Shara, of those 15 wins, I believe it's up to 13 knockouts now, maybe 12 knockouts. It's absolutely incredible. And as for MVP of his 22 wins, 19 by finish. They're just absolutely insane. Actually, those might all be knockouts. I think these two are both knockout artists. Biggest win of, I don't even know what MVP's biggest win of his career is. Big Bellator guy. But he has a win over Count Holland in the UFC. That's his biggest win there. And Shara Magomedov beat, I guess Armen Petrosyan was his biggest event or biggest win of his career. I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm probably riding Shara, but I'll be excited to see what takes place. Another one for you. This one for the prelims, UFC 312, February 18th or February 8th in, where are we at? Australia. Tom Nolan back in action, 8-1 professionally with 8 knockouts, taking on none other than Vyacheslav Borshev. 2 strikers here. Vyacheslav, you know, it's been tough run in the UFC for Vyacheslav Borshev. 3-3. Now, I do want you all to know all 3 of those losses, they've come by grappling. Those 3 wins, they've all come by striking. So if Tom Nolan wants to win, he will have to take it to the ground. But Tom Nolan is a striker. I've seen how good Vyacheslav Borshev is on the feet, so I'll probably favor Slavaklaus in that one. But those are all the big UFC fights for you. Other than that, nothing too much. You know, I think the main gist of things is what we're going to be, or it's going to be the fallout of UFC Tampa, which we will be talking about later on today's episode. But I am excited. I'm excited for 2025 in UFC. A lot of fun stuff will continue to be announced. I know Dana is always getting us all antsy about everything. And who knows, guys, maybe by the summer, you could be looking at the newest intern for the UFC and maybe a full-time employee. Who knows? Anything can happen. If you dream big and you want to achieve it, you can achieve anything you want to. And especially if you're a serial killer like Dexter Morgan. That is right, guys. Dexter New Blood, this sequel series, this not even a reboot. It is a continuation of the story of Dexter. Was so good. Absolutely so amazing. One of my favorite, one of my favorite seasons of a show I've ever watched. 8 out of 10 on IMDb, 77% Rotten Tomatoes. It was fantastic. And after Dexter, the original 8 series ended, you know, I took a day break. You know, I thought about the fact that people had to wait 8 years. You know, Dexter ended in 2013. Dexter New Blood premiered in 2021. Absolutely crazy. 10 episodes, and from the get-go, I mean, we're introducing Dexter in this new environment. He's living in Iron Lake, New York. I don't even know if that's a real place. He's dating the head of the chief of police there, Julia Jones. Julia Jones is her actress name. Angela Bishop is her name. And then out of nowhere, his son appears, and everything starts going crazy. Dexter ends up killing someone after going 8 years sober, if you will, of killing, and just it kicks off a whole series of events. Everyone is great in this. His new voice, it used to be his dad. His dad was his, voice in his head. Now it's his old sister, Deborah Morgan, who he technically killed. She was going to basically be a vegetable in the show's terms on a table the rest of her life, and so Dexter pulled the plug on her to basically take her out of her misery. In it, we are introduced to none other than Clancy Brown, they keep putting the actor's name and the character's name on different levels, but Clancy Brown, one of my favorite actors. He starred in he was in the video game Detroit Become Human. He was basically the detective with Connor, if anyone knows who that is. And then he was also in, oh my gosh, what is it? Gen V, yeah, the Boys spinoff show. And I think he's in The Penguin, though I haven't seen The Penguin. But he's a great actor, and I absolutely love him. He ends up being the villain of the series. Spoiler alert. I won't say much more, but there are some crazy reveals there. And just, it is really good. Every episode ends with you wanting more. I will say that the ending of it compares to the ending of the original Dexter, where they don't know how to end this character, and they thought it'd be a good idea to, you know what, I'm just, who already here watches Dexter? You know what, spoiler alert, skip ahead 4 minutes if you don't want to hear this, but they basically, his son is told to kill him. Dexter tells his son to kill him, put him out of his misery, and so his son shoots him, and the bullet goes through his heart apparently, and then the chief shows up, and it ends with Dexter dying out in the snow, and it shows his son driving away to start a new life. Absolutely awful ending. It makes no sense. It's basically, I'd compare it to the other season of Dexter, where it's like, okay, what about the other 90 plus episodes? What about the other 9 episodes for Dexter New Blood, where this is just something Dexter wouldn't do? Dexter wouldn't just kill himself. Okay, it's just they don't know how to end the show, and they decided, hey, we'll kill him, and clearly the fans didn't like that. And for once, they actually listened to the fans, and they're now having a new series called Dexter Resurrection, which comes out in June of next year. That's right, I only have to wait 6 to 7 months until I see more Dexter, which actually there's a show out now called Dexter Original Sin, which revealed that Dexter is going to come back, and it basically showed him being driven to the hospital by the police chief, his old ex-girlfriend or whatever you want to call her, and he's on the operating table, and his life is flashing before his eyes, and Dexter Original Sin is basically showing his original arrival to the Miami Metro Police Department, which I watched the first episode. It's not too bad. It's just after watching 8 seasons of Dexter with all these other characters, it's hard to then picture them with different actors, younger actors playing them. So I think this works better for people who have had to wait basically a decade since the original Dexter was out. But Dexter New Blood, it's just 1 season. I heard that Dexter Resurrection is going to be multiple seasons, which is kind of exciting. But Dexter New Blood, it gets a 9 out of 10 for me. It's super entertaining, and you see many different sides of Dexter. You see him killing someone who deserves it, and multiple people who deserve it, and then you also kind of see him kill someone where they don't necessarily deserve it, and he does it just to survive, which really makes you realize, that Dexter is still deranged. We kind of forget. I compare him to Joe Goldberg from You, if anyone has watched You, amazing series there, where, technically the main character, technically our protagonist, is really an antagonist. Technically we're rooting for a serial killer here, and we forget that at times. And, there's a scene where Dexter basically kills one of the characters from the entire series that we've been watching, and he's actually a really good character. And the big reveal comes out. But another big reveal of this is that basically everyone now knows that Dexter is a serial killer. So I think Dexter Resurrection is going to kick off with him escaping the hospital, and Angel Batista is going to be after him. Everyone's going to be after him. It is going to be exciting. But yes, Dexter New Blood, I encourage you all to check it out. Just another show that I've gotten into, and it's fantastic. Let me tell you, hands down, it's fantastic. And if you like plot twists, if you like cliffhangers, if you like wanting to watch the next episode in a line because you just can't stop watching it, then this is the show for you. But, Dexter isn't the only thing that we watch. Dexter isn't the only thing that we view. We also look at pop culture. That is right. Top 10 new things in pop culture, courtesy of Discussing Film. And I just wanted to say, speaking of films, I watched a multitude of films this weekend. First one, Megamind, which I hadn't seen in a long time. Just as funny since I had last seen it. Great child's film. Great children's film. Great animated show. Also, you don't even have to be a child to enjoy it. You have Will Ferrell, you have Brad Pitt, you have, what's his name, Jonah Hill. I can't remember who the girl is, but you have a lot of good actors voicing the characters. And I heard they made a sequel, which absolutely sucked. But Megamind, just watch the first one. It is a great standalone movie. Another movie I watched, the second and third Hobbit. I don't know why I just didn't want to watch the first. But those are just fantastic films. They just always get to me. I can always watch them, always enjoy them. And the ending of the third Hobbit just always gets me. There's just something about the fact that Bilbo goes back to his regular life after everything's said and done. It just kind of sits with him. He's like, I want something more extraordinary in life after going on this mind-boggling adventure. And it's just, it's a very weird ending. Very weird ending. Of course, the death of Thorin. It's very sad, but very fulfilling for his character arc. I also watched Joker for the first time, and, it was okay. I don't really get the hype too much, with Joker. Joaquin Phoenix had a great portrayal of the role, but I just never really rooted for him. I'm going to be honest, I never was really rooting for the character. He was always deranged, and I was kind of like, am I supposed to like him? I don't like him. And he was like a criminal. I don't know. I get he's the bad guy, but I wasn't really feeling it. And then the best movie of the weekend I watched, Queen Pin's Holy Cow, Vince Vaughn and Stingray from Cobra Kai, if anyone's seen him. He was also in Blackbird. He played the killer. Oh my gosh, the funniest duo that I've seen in a long time. Also starred Kristen Bell from The Good Place. Basically a movie about these two women who start a illegal coupon scam, and they make millions of dollars. It was so funny. It was an hour and 50 minutes on Netflix, and I enjoyed it very much so. The ending was kind of so-so. I won't lie, it didn't end the best, but the dynamic between Vince Vaughn and... gosh, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was so funny. I should actually give him a shout out here. You know what? No one's actually going to listen to this. That's from that level of stardom, but I do want to let you all know the actor's name because he is so funny. Paul Walter Hauser. Paul Walter Hauser is just such a funny actor. I can't get over it. He's also starred in, what are some movies of his? Richard Jewell, where he saved the day from a bomb in the park, but everyone's blaming him. He's also been in Super Troopers 2, which I've never seen, Cruella with Emma Stone, which I've never seen, The Black Klansman, which I haven't seen. Yeah. Oh, they're making a Chris Farley biopic, and Paul Walter Hauser is going to play Chris Farley. Oh, I could get behind that. I could definitely get behind that. But let's get into the pop culture for today. Number one, Wicked Part 2 has been retitled to Wicked for Good in theaters on November 21st, 2025. I have no interest in Wicked. I'm not the target demographic for Wicked, and I could care less what they retitle it to. But hey, if anyone is a Wicked fan, there you go. They're retitling it Wicked for Good. Very interesting. Number two. They keep re-releasing Interstellar in IMAX. I don't know who's going to see that. Very odd. Number two, a Luigi Mangione documentary is in the works. Oscar-winning filmmaker Alex Gibbini is developing the doc. Insane that this man murders someone and we're just making documentaries about him. I can't get over it. People are acting like this guy's a hero. He murdered someone. I understand that the guy he murdered, what was going on at United Healthcare, I don't know the exact details of, but, it's weird to just kind of kill him because nothing's going to get fixed. He killed this guy. Now that guy's kids don't have a dad. That guy's wife doesn't have a husband anymore. His parents don't have a son anymore if they were still alive. It's very conflicting for some people. But for me, I do not like this Luigi Mangione guy, and we're romanticizing him. I find it utterly disgusting. How about that? Number three, Stephen Knight hopes to have the Peaky Blinders film ready by the end of 2025. Peaky Blinders, another show I have to freaking watch. I watched the first season, and it was long. There were some cool scenes, but it was really slow, and I've heard that once you get over that season one, halfway through season two hump, that the rest of the way is absolutely fantastic, but I just haven't yet. Once I get Netflix, maybe I'll get back to it. We'll have to see. But as for now, I'll definitely try and finish this if I do want to watch the movie for the Peaky Blinders. Number 4, first trailer for Warfare, an Iraqi war film starring Will Poulter, Charles Melton, Kit Connor, Joseph Quinn, and Noah Centineo, is directed by Ray Mendoza and Alex Garfield. Hits theaters in 2025. I love Will Poulter, like me a little Joseph Quinn. And you know what? I don't even mind Noah Centineo. He's finally getting away from those romantic little teenage films. I'm always interested in a little Iraqi war films. You know, it's always interested to see if they're good or bad. So maybe we'll give that a try. Number 5, first look at Jackie Chan, a young Ben Wang, and Ralph Macchio in Karate Kid Legends in theaters on May 30th, 2025. You know what? Karate never dies. Cobra Kai never dies. Let me tell you, the entire universe never dies. And we're making another film. This time we got Ben Wang taking over the mantle from Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio. You know what? It's never going to die. I'm going to be 90 years old watching the newest Karate Kid. The newest Karate Kid's going to be some AI robot named Jimbo. How about that? Number 5, Seth Rogen tells us he wants to see a live-action Emperor's New Groove movie, and he says, I want to be in it. You know what? He could be who could Seth Rogen play in it? Seth Rogen could be that one guy that the llama teams up with, but the Emperor's New Groove, oh, I want to rewatch that. That movie was so good. Emperor's New Groove was such a good movie. And the sequel, I really liked that with the one guy, I can't remember his name, but super good. Number 6, Squid Game creator Hwang Dong-hyuk was asked which Marvel character does he think would win the competition. He says Iron Man, even without the suit. Ooh, I can kind of get behind that. You know, he's smart enough. He's game enough. Squid Game Season 2 drops December 26th. I am most definitely getting Netflix, and I am most definitely watching it. Number 7, Idris Elba wants to see a live-action Cyberpunk 2077 movie. He says, I think Keanu Reeves' character and my character together would be WOA. So let's speak that into existence. Yeah, Idris Elba and Keanu Reeves as Cyberpunk characters on the big screen, sign me up. And I know my boy Seth, he loves Cyberpunk, so he can tell me all the lore so I can go see it. Number 7, Beyond the Spider-Verse will not release in 2025. They're taking a lot of tender loving care, says Deadline. Yeah, freaking what? I mean, holy cow. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse taking about 2, 4, 5 years to finally come out. Insane. I just want to see how this trilogy wraps up. And you know what? It isn't even a trilogy. This is more of a sequel to the second film. I mean, come on. It can't be that hard, can it? Really? Is it really that hard? Number 8, Kraven the Hunter opens with $11 million domestically, one of the worst openings for a comic book movie ever, even below Madam Web. Wow, $11 million domestically means that only about... Actually, you know what? Let's say the average ticket for a theater is, how much, $10? So we'll say it made $11 million, and if we divide $11 million by, let's just say $10, okay? That means 1.1 million people went to the theater, okay? Then we divide that across 3 days. Since it's domestically, it's over a weekend, okay? That means about 366,000 people went every single day to the theater. And let's say we divide that across all 50 states. Let's say everyone in 50 states. That means about only 7,300 people went in each state to go see this movie, which is not a lot. Okay, that is not a lot at all in hindsight. So big failure from Kraven the Hunter, and don't let this hinder Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's an amazing actor. They just gave him a terrible script for this movie. Okay. Number 9, Scary Movie 6 will release in 2026 in theaters. The Wayans brothers are currently developing the film that's so goofy. I don't think I've seen any Scary Movie films. Maybe one. Maybe I've seen clips of some. I don't know. I don't really know if it's my cup of tea, personally. Number 10, the final one. What should we talk about? Let's try and find something on a high note. They're really trashing Kraven the Hunter. I can't lie. They're really, really letting in on this. Number 10, Glenn Powell will star in an erotic thriller. Homewreckers is described as a mix between an Adrian Lyne films like Fatal Attraction and Alex Garland films like Ex Machina. I don't know what that means, but we are not done with Glenn Powell. He is still the man in Hollywood. You know, is he the next Brad Pitt? I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll tell you, speaking of Saturday nights, we never mentioned Saturday night, but terrible segue. Anyways, let's talk about Saturday night's main event, the latest staple from the WWE. It was a 2-hour event, which aired live on NBC. You already know that WWE is branching out. Everyone's looking to see everything now. And, we were graced with 5 matches in a 2-hour period. And was it really a filler event? Yeah. It was just a filler event, but you know what? Some stuff happened, and we'll talk about it since we don't have much other WWE stuff to talk about until the Royal Rumble, February 1st. Actually, and Raw, Raw November, what is that, January 6th, actually, when Raw debuts on Netflix, which I'm so excited to see. I'm without a doubt watching that. Holy cow. Wait, actually, January 6th. Oh gosh, I'll have to see. What date is really this is all transpiring on. But Saturday night's main event, we kicked things off. Drew McIntyre defeating Sami Zayn in a 10-minute match. Drew McIntyre back on a kick of things. He's on a revenge tour, taking out Sami Zayn. He's looking to take out the Usos. He's looking to take out Roman Reigns. He's looking to take out CM Punk again, I think. I don't know what Drew McIntyre's on, but he is an excellent, excellent heel for the company. And as for Sami Zayn, I think what happened with Sami Zayn is we had him beat Gunther so we could send Gunther to the World Heavyweight Championship picture at WrestleMania. After that, he was just getting such plot armor when he fought Chad Gable, when he fought Braun Breaker. Like, you know what, we're going to drop the title. Braun Breaker's going to take the title off him, which worked out perfectly. Then, they didn't really know what to do with him. There really wasn't a feud for Sami Zayn, per se. And, I honestly can't even remember what he was doing, after he lost the Intercontinental Championship. He was kind of in this iffy period, then he was like going for the World Heavyweight Championship for like a week or something. And now he's back teaming with the Bloodline, and it's working perfectly. But I think Sami Zayn is kind of in this weird period where they don't know what to do with him anymore. He's like, we know how good of a wrestler he is, but at the same time, we don't want people to get sick of him. So I'll be interested to see where this continues from here, but looks like Drew McIntyre has beaten Sami Zayn senseless, and now he's on for the next target, probably Jimmy or Jey Uso. After that, singles match for the Women's World Championship. Liv Morgan beats Io Sky in a 9-minute match, and lo and behold, after she beats her run-of-the-mill match, out comes Rhea Ripley, this Liv Morgan-Rhea Ripley feud. I don't know if this is going to culminate at WrestleMania. I think that's what they're going for, but I don't know how you build this up. I don't know if you're going to have Rhea Ripley win the Royal Rumble, if you're going to have Charlotte Flair return and win the Royal Rumble. I really don't know how the Women's Royal Rumble is going to go, but I'm just really having a hard time seeing how we keep this Rhea Ripley-Liv Morgan feud red hot up until April 22nd to 23rd when WrestleMania is. I'm very curious to see the aspect they take, but she beat Io Sky, and Io Sky fulfilled her purpose there. After that, triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther beats Finn Balor and Damian Priest, 11-minute match, and I just really hope we're done with this. Truly, I hope we're done with this. We all know Gunther's the best. We all know Gunther is not dropping this to anyone. It's going to be Goldberg. It's going to be John Cena. It's going to be Braun Breaker. It's going to be a legit guy. It's not going to be Finn Balor or Damian Priest. And Damian Priest, we gave him a good run. I honestly don't think we should have ended his run so soon to Gunther, but it is what it is. Finn Balor and Damian Priest, I really hope we cut that feud. I really hope that we drop the titles off of Finn Balor and JD McDonough. They're still technically the Raw Tag Team Champions or the World Tag Team Champions, wherever they are. But just I don't know what to do with them. I say we do one last match maybe on SmackDown or Raw or wherever you want to have it, and it just ends the feud. Ends the feud for good. That's what I think we should do there. But Gunther retains. Don't necessarily know where to go with Gunther from here. We have this awkward period where, the Royal Rumble is not until February 1st. So you actually have 2 more weeks, which is actually including this week, you have 3 more weeks of December, and then you're going to have a full month of January. So you have close to, I'd say, between 6 to 8 weeks until your next big PLE. And that's just a lot of buildup for all these feuds. So Gunther, I'm sure they'll bring someone in, but don't know what to do with him next. After that, the co-main event, if you will, the tournament final for the first ever WWE Women's United States Championship, and they give it to Chelsea Green, who beats Machine, and I love it. I love it. Chelsea Green, she's goofy. She's a weird one. She's actually married to Zack Ryder, fun fact. And I'm happy for him. I'm glad that we're bringing in an Intercontinental Championship for the women's division, and we now have a United States Championship. So now all these women don't have to just go after the big belt. But what you're now going to see is something where you now get an even bigger divide. Okay? Because, it used to just be you could either go for the Women's Tag Team Championship or the Women's Big Championship. But now we have these intermediate belts, which means you're really going to see who the big stars in the company are. And now you're going to probably bring in some more NXT and lower level women to fight for these mid-card belts. But Chelsea Green beats her in an 8-minute match, fulfilled its purpose. Pretty much that's what everyone wanted. Then we get to the main event. Cody Rhodes defeats Kevin Owens to retain, of course, the WWE Championship in a 12-minute match, longest match of the night. Honestly, felt longer than you would think with the commercial breaks in between and the fact that it was like running on a time crunch. It's really weird to say, but he gets it done. But the weird thing about this match is that basically Kevin Owens was going to attack Cody Rhodes with a chair. Cody Rhodes messes it up. Kevin Owens actually pins Cody Rhodes. Ref is out of the ring. Three count happens. He's not able to get it. Then without the ref seeing, Cody Rhodes chooses to hit Kevin Owens with a crossroads onto the chair, which, by the way, didn't even hit Kevin Owens' head. It hit Cody Rhodes more, which was funny to see. And he gets the pinfall. But it's very weird what they chose to do here. And then after the show ended, after the cameras stopped, Kevin Owens hits Cody Rhodes with a pile driver and then gets into a fight with Triple H right in front of the Jumbotron down the entrance ramp. Cody Rhodes is then carted off on a stretcher. Very weird angle they're going for here. I don't know if you're going to have Cody Rhodes off of TV for a bit, what you do with Kevin Owens, but I think they're going to set up a little Kevin Owens-Randy Orton feud, and I really think they're going to try and push Cody Rhodes and Gunther kind of not really out of the limelight, but I just don't think they know what to do with them in the build-up to the Royal Rumble, in the build-up to Elimination Chamber, and finally into WrestleMania, because there's just so many feuds going on. But Saturday night's main event wasn't too bad. I was able to catch a bit of it. It really fulfilled its purpose. But the next time we talk about WWE, maybe for Netflix, if not, probably going to be for the Royal Rumble, which is in like 2 months. So there's that. But I'll tell you what we will be talking about, ladies and gentlemen, and that is none other than Week 15 of the NFL season. Not too hot on predictions, but there was some interesting action. Let me tell you that, and I think I might win in almost all my fantasy leagues, especially in my Big 16, man. I currently have if I can do some quick math here, I currently have a 37-point lead. It is a 2-week affair. My opponent, my good roommate, Cole Walker, has Jacoby Myers, Jordan Assen, and the Atlanta defense, which is kind of funny. He has Jacoby Myers and the Atlanta defense, and I have Brock Bowers, though. So I'm hoping that Brock and, I'll even say Jacoby tear up this Atlanta defense, which actually ranks 30th in the entire NFL. But let's go over all the matchups, talk about what happened, and see who the top fantasy performers were. We kick things off Thursday with a little NFC West matchup between the Rams and the 49ers, and the Rams beat the 49ers. I couldn't believe it. I actually thought the 49ers had it in them, but I was wrong. Guys, and Rams are now top dog in the NFC West. They're on a 3-game win streak, despite having a negative 28-point differential, 8-6. You know what? Good for them. Puka Nacua tearing things up, 17.8 fantasy points. Kyron Williams got 14.2, and the kicker, Cardi, had 13. For the 49ers, Isaac Grendo, 11.5, and George Kittle, 10.1, the only 49ers to get into the double-digit category in terms of points. I mean, battle of field goals, folks. That's all this was. Stafford, 160 yards. That was it. Kyron Williams rushes for 108. No touchdowns for him. Puka, 7 catches, 97 yards. Cooper Kupp, 1 target. They had that boy locked down. So it was a defensive battle. And despite being a defensive battle, 49ers defense only got me 3 points. Kind of ridiculous. Brock Purdy, 142 yards and a pick. Not looking too hot. Garendo on 16 rushes, only 57 yards. Kittle, 4 catches, 61 yards. Debo, 3 catches, 16 yards. That was just about it, guys. Nothing too much for you. And I mean, this was a crucial win for the Rams here. 49ers are now sitting at 6-8, bottom of the NFC West. And in terms of playoff positioning, I mean, right now, Lions at the 1. You're going to have Eagles at the 2, which that's going to be pretty close. You're going to have either Bucks or Rams right now at that 4 spot. But then in terms of who's going to be wrapping up that 5, 6, 7, obviously you're going to have Vikings As of right now, Packers at the 6, and as of right now, Commanders at the 7. So NFC West is really close. 49ers season has completely taken a downhill turn, and it's just pretty wild to see. So Rams picking up a big win there, and 49ers, I don't know what to tell you. Playoff hopes kind of gone out the gutter. After that, we got into NFL Sunday, and we kicked things off with the Ravens and the Giants. And I think Lamar heard that I was starting Zay Flowers and decided to not throw to a single freaking person, or decided to throw to every freaking person but Zay Flowers. You know, Zay got, I'm pretty sure, 10 or 11 fantasy points. But I mean, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, Justice Hill, they were getting so many fantasy points. I was getting a little jealous. 35-14, blowout win. To no one's surprise, and we were looking at an MVP performance from Lamar Jackson. Ravens 9-5, back in the win category, 418 points for. They are the second team now in the AFC to have 400 points for on the season, and the fourth team in the NFL. Very impressive stuff for the Ravens as they look to somehow pass the Steelers in the AFC North standings. But they're definitely going to the playoffs, which is a good sign. As for the Giants, 2-12, 9-game losing streak. They are 0-8 at home. Those tickets got to be cheap, got to be super cheap. One of the worst offenses, might be the worst offense in the NFL. They have a minus 120 point differential. It sucks to be a Giants fan. Lamar, 36 fantasy points. Rashad Bateman, 23. Justice Hill, 17.8. Malik Neighbors, literally the only bright spot for this team. You know, I like to look at the Jaguars. I like to look at the Giants. And I like to look at the Raiders as a prime example of only your rookie is the good thing about your team. Malik, 24.2 fantasy points. Ballin, Singletary, 13.1. Vandal Robinson, 7.8. That's right, an abysmal performance. Baltimore, Lamar, 290 yards passing, 21 for 25, 5 touchdowns. Also rushed 6 times for 65 yards. Derrick Henry, 14 rushes, only 67 yards. They weren't letting the big boy go anywhere. Justice Hill, 5 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Zay, 6 catches, 53 yards. Rashad Bateman, 3 catches, 80 yards, including a massive, 49-yard pass in the second quarter, which was very impressive. Also had Mark Andrews in there. Mark had 2 catches, one of which was a touchdown. And, yeah, Nelson Aguilar had a catch. Everyone was getting catches on that Baltimore team. Giants, Tommy DeVito, 10 for 13, 68 yards, and a concussion. He goes out, in comes Tim Boyle, 123 yards, 50% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, pretty average. Malik, 10 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. They're the only positive I can point out. Tracy, 10 rushes, 31 yards. Yikes. That's all I got to say there. Giants, I don't know what you need. I think you're going to draft a quarterback. I mean, it's abysmal in New York. But Ravens, looking up. Hey, maybe another MVP performance from Lamar. Maybe another MVP they're going to give him. I don't know. But hey, 5-3 on the road. Not too shabby. Jets and Jags was next up in a barn burner. Okay, I always love when these really crappy teams just decide to go absolutely nuclear. Jets finally snapping this losing streak. Oh my gosh, 4-10 now. That's about all I got record wise. Jaguars 3-11, no surprise there. Devontae Adams explodes, 42.8 fantasy points. What? Rodgers 31.06. Garrett Wilson 14.6. For the Jags, Brian Thomas Jr., baby, 32.50. I love that man. I love Brian Thomas Jr. He's so sexy, so handsome, and number 7 loves to catch touchdowns. Absolutely love Brian Thomas Jr. Mac Jones, 18.66, and the tight end, B. Strange, 18.3. How about that? What do we even know his name? What is it? I don't even know. I'm so sorry. Be Strange. That's all I got for you. For the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. Breece Hall, 9 rushes, 30 yards, and 1 touchdown. Rodgers actually rushed 6 times for 45 yards. Devontae Adams, 9 catches, 198 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including a massive 71-yarder in the fourth quarter. Absolutely insane. For the Jags, Mac Jones, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. I can't lie, Mac looks better than he did when he stepped in. What was that? I can't remember. Was that the Vikings game when he stepped in? I think it was the week before. But he's improved since then. ETN had led the backfield today, 65 yards. Tank also had a 42. As for receiving, Brian Thomas Jr., 10 catches, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't care if I lose in fantasy. I'm so happy I drafted Brian Thomas Jr., and I knew he was going to be a dog. B. Strange, 11 catches, 73 yards. Also had Parker Washington, 3 catches, 54 yards. Good stuff there. But just abysmal. 32-25. Came down to the wire. Jags couldn't put it together. Jets were just too much. Both these teams going to be getting top 10 picks next year. It's rough for both of them. But hey, you know what? Fantasy-wise, they had a barn burner. Cowboys and Panthers. The Panthers was next up, and it's just, two rough teams. Cowboys win 30-14. This Panthers team is just bad. They're just so bad. I just don't even understand. They are allergic to winning. They just don't know how to win a football game. Okay, 4-game losing streak now. They're near at minus 200 point differential. Let me tell you that. They are near that minus 200 point differential. Cowboys, how do you now? 6-8, 1-6 at home. I guess 5-2 on the road. It's funny. Of their 6 wins, 5 have came on the road, just like the one here. CeeDee Lamb, 26.6 fantasy points. Cooper Rush, 19.06. Dowsty, 17. For the Panthers, Jake Cocker, I don't know if it's John Cocker or Josh Cocker, 21 fantasy points. Bryce Young, 12. And Adam Thielen, 10. It was actually looking kind of up. It was 10-7 heading into halftime, and then it just got away from them. How about 17 unanswered before Bryce Young finally scored with 9 minutes left, and it was just too little too late. Panthers just couldn't put a drive together. Cooper Rush, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns. Actually was kind of shredding this defense. Rico Dallowell rushed for 149 yards. CD, 9 catches, 116 yards, and touchdown. 8 this defense for breakfast. For the Panthers, Bryce Young, 219 yards, touchdown, and 2 picks. Also did rush in a touchdown. Chuba Hubbard, 10 rushes, 32 yards. What the heck, Chuba? You're supposed to go off this week. Abysmal. Adam Thielen, 5 catches, 51 yards. And as for Cocker, he had a massive 83-yard touchdown pass with 31 seconds left in the second quarter, which is how he got so many fantasy points. But Panthers, that's all she wrote, man. That's all she wrote. I don't even think they're going to get the number 1 pick, man. They're bad. They are so bad. I don't know what they need. I don't know if they need a quarterback. I don't know if they need wide receivers, running back. They definitely need an offensive line. Definitely need a defense. This team has just gotten worse and worse since they made the Super Bowl. Just rough to see. As for the Cowboys, you're going to finish middle of the pack this year. No ifs, ands, or buts what you can do about it. But hey, you know what? You come back next year. You'll bring some ferocity. You put on a happy face, and maybe you'll do better next year. That's all I got for you. Commanders and Saints was the next matchup. Commanders win 20-19, and this one looked all but over until an outstanding 12 unanswered points from the Commanders, or the Saints scored 12 unanswered, and almost made it a game. But, I get that you need wins, but you really have to play smart football, and the Saints took a massive gamble at home. They had rallied. They were down, I think it was, I'm trying to think. It was 22, I want to say 3. I want to say it was 20-3. And Terry McLaurin had just been shredding this defense. I mean, Scary Terry went off for 26 fantasy points. Jaden Daniels, 23. They were going ballistic. I mean, for the Saints, Kamara put up 17. That was about the only positive there. And then, Blake Grupp finally kicks field goal. Defense gets a stop. Blake Grupp, another field goal. And then finally a touchdown pass as time is fleeting. And it's 20-19. And instead of just kicking the extra point, the Saints were like, you know what? We're going to go for 2. And they just failed and couldn't get it. And the Commanders sneak away with a victory. Commanders 9-5, 2-game win streak, currently in the playoffs. Good win. Jaden Daniels still trying to stake that Rookie of the Year claim. That's how you do it. Pull out these tough wins. But as for the Saints, 5-9, I would not have gone for it. Honestly, you had a shot to win the NFC South. It was a long shot, but now it's completely out of the question. No chance now. Saints are going to be similar to the Cowboys and finish middle of the pack. For the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also rushed for 66 yards. Brian Robinson Jr., 21 rushes, 65 yards. Scary Terry, 7 catches, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was balling out pretty good. Other than that, everyone was pretty mediocre. Hayner came in, 4 for 10, 49 yards, gets injured. Then Spencer Rattler comes in, 10 for 21, 135 yards, and a touchdown. Good for him. On the ground, Kamara, 5 rushes, 12 yards. Actually lost the backfield to Keandre Miller, who rushed 9 times for 46 yards, but Kamara was able to help in the passing game. 4 catches, one of which was a touchdown. other than that, no one was really doing anything. The Saints team is just, they just don't know how to wrap games up. Commanders sneak away with another one, and they will look to make the playoffs. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but you got some tough competition because right now, Vikings, Packers, and Commanders are all in the playoffs. And by the way, Packers are third in their division. I just want to say that. But hot on their tails, there's always the chance that the Falcons could rally and win the NFC South, that the Seahawks and Rams are dueling for the top of the NFC West. It's going to come down to the wire. Exciting stuff. Bengals and Titans was another one, and this one was an unnecessary barn burner. There's just no reason the Bengals and Titans should have just been slinging it out, but 37-27, Bengals win. But there's 1 point. This was 14-14. It was a close game, but then the Bengals always just kind of had an edge on that Titans team. Bengals 6-8 now. Yeah, going to finish middle of the pack and miss the playoffs most likely. Titans 3-11 might be the worst team. No, Raiders are still the worst team. And unless the Raiders win tonight on Monday Night Football, then the Titans might be the worst team. But for the Bengals, Chase Brown, 26 fantasy points. T. Higgins, 19.8. Jamar Chase, 18.4. This team is so good offensively. 399 points for offensively. They are very dominant. Titans, Tajee Spears goes off, 27 fantasy points. Mason Rudolph with 15. It's about all the positives I got for you. I'll tell you the main issue, though, is after it was all tied, 14-14, we then had this just crazy stretch where it was 24 unanswered. 24 unanswered, and there's nothing you can do when you go down 24, then you finally get a touchdown, and then you give up another touchdown. So, this Bengals offense is just destructive at times, but their defense just isn't that good. Joe Burrow, 271 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. What was that about Joe Shiesty? Chase Brown, 97 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Jamar Chase, 9 catches, 94 yards. T, 5 catches, 88 yards and a touchdown. Chase Brown, 3 catches, 16 yards, one of which was a touchdown. For the Titans, Mason Rudolph, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Mediocre. Will Levis went 8 for 12 with 3 interceptions. Will Levis might suck really hard, but you know what? He can pull bad bitches. Tony Pollard, 17 rushes, 44 yards, and a touchdown. Tajee Spears had a touchdown. Tajee Spears, 6 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown. That's so random. Calvin Ridley, 3 catches, 41 yards. Yeah, these teams just aren't making the playoffs, but you know what? They're helping us out in the fantasy department. Chiefs and Browns, another one for you, 21-7. Chiefs didn't even need a controversy here. Chiefs, you know what? For the first time in a while, the Chiefs actually squeaked by with a win where no one was questioning it. Browns just suck. 3-11, 3-game losing streak. They have a minus 117-point differential. They're just bad. Browns are just super bad. Jameis Winston minus negative 0.36 fantasy points for you. He did not have a good day. Chiefs 13-1, best team in the league, 4-game win streak. They're good. I'm telling you, this Chiefs team, they're good. Kansas City defense, 22 fantasy points. Utterly insane. Utterly insane. By the way, 22 fantasy points without a single touchdown. That's super impressive. Xavier Worthy at 19.6 and Patrick Mahomes 15.76. Might have gotten hurt, though. Kind of hurt himself towards the end of the game. Jerry Jeudy 21.8. Jerome Ford 18.4. Those are the only positives for that team. 3 touchdowns, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and 1 in the third. And Jerome Ford had 1 touchdown in the third, and that was the only time that the Browns scored. Mahomes, 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carson Wentz actually got 2 stops. I forgot. Carson Wentz is the backup for the Chiefs. What a solid backup. Kareem Hunt and Pacheco split the backfield, but it was actually Xavier Worthy who ran in a touchdown. Worthy also had the most catches, 6 yards, and the most yards, 46. DeAndre had some catches. Kelsey had some catches, but no real stars. The real stars was the defense. Jameis Winston, 146 yards, 3 picks. Dorian Thompson-Robinson came in, 18 yards, 1 pick. Jerome Ford, 84 yards rushing and a touchdown. And Nick Chubb got hurt, so he's probably out for the year. Jerry Jeudy, 11 catches, 108 yards. Only bright spot for this team. This Chiefs team, they might finish 16-1. I kid you not. They play the Texans, they play the Steelers, they play the Broncos. Those are all such winnable games. Yeah, I could also see them losing, but I honestly believe the Chiefs are probably going to win out, and I just can't believe that they are the favorite to repeat again. It's insane. We have a Chiefs dynasty. We're watching it live unfold before us. They're the Golden State Warriors. They're the Patriots, and it has just come upon us way too fast. We did not need another dynasty, and yet here we are with the Patrick Mahomes dynasty. Was this the final noon game? I honestly can't recall. We had a lot of noon games today. I want to say this was the final noon game. Dolphins and Texans. Texans win 20-12. Good win for this Texans team as they now reclaim the AFC South 9-5. They have won it officially with a Colts loss. Good for them. Good for them. You know what? Plus 28 point differential. 2-game win streak. It's what they needed. As for the Dolphins, 6-8. They've officially lost any chance of winning the AFC East. But you know what? It happens. It happens. You know what? You'll be back next year. You're not going to make the playoffs, but you know what? You got Tyreek Hill, you got Tua Tagovailoa, you got Devin Achane. Yeah, rough loss for the Titans, but the Texans, good job. Rough loss for the Dolphins, good win for the Texans. Jonnu Smith, 19.8, Devin Achane, 14.6. Good, best fantasy performances of the day. Nico Collins, 17, Houston D, 16, CJ Stroud, 11. Was pretty much getting blown out. It was actually, I believe, what was it? I think it was 6-20 until Jonnu Smith landed a touchdown. Then Jason Sanders missed an extra point. Yikes. And then just nothing happened in the fourth quarter. Tua, 196 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks. Oh, a lot of brain damage there. Achane, 41 yards rushing, had 7 catches, 35 through the air. Jonnu, 9 catches, 48 yards, a touchdown. Tyreek Hill held to 2 catches for only 36 yards. Jane Waddle held to 0 catches. Incredible defense performance from the Texans. CJ Stroud, 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon, 12 rushes for 23 yards. I mean, defensive battle. Nico Collins on 4 catches managed to get 2 touchdowns. Only 17 yards. Good win for the Texans as they win the NFC South. Congratulations. Round of applause. I should really put my soundboard on so I can do a round of applause effect. Colts and Broncos was the next game up, and it was close for a time. Then the Broncos pulled away in the fourth quarter, going 21-0 on a run. That is right. I kid you all not. It was 13-10 heading into the fourth quarter, and the Broncos exploded for not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns, including a Nick Bonatillo 50-yard fumble recovery. Very impressive. Fantasy-wise, Anthony Richardson, 14, Jonathan Taylor, 11, Colts D, 13. 10 points for the Colts team. Wow. Nothing even. Rough showing for the Colts. Denver D had 19. Bo Nix 13. Cortland Sutton 12. Richardson, 172 yards through 2 picks. Jonathan Taylor rushed for 107 yards. I mean, nothing was really going for him. Bo Nix, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. That's crazy. 20 for 33 for only 130 yards. Rushing-wise, Bo Nix was the leading rusher and yardage. Wow, that's goofy. Sutton caught a touchdown. Trotman caught a touchdown. Adkins caught a touchdown. Just a random win for the Broncos here. Broncos keeping their playoff hopes alive. They are now 9-5, and I believe are sitting in that either 6th or 7th spot. I think as I look at it, it's going to be them, the Ravens, and probably the Chargers. Actually, I think that's going to be the case unless the Chargers lose out and the Colts, Bengals, or Dolphins win out. I think you're looking at the Ravens definitely. Ravens are definitely going to probably be locking up that 5th spot. Broncos in the 6th. And then Chargers in the 7th. Ooh, we're winding down to the wire here. But, yeah, Broncos win. Colts are Colts are rough. Colts are not that good. 3:30 games rolling on. Cardinals beat the Pats 30-17. Patriots are now on a 4-game losing streak, 3-11, and have a minus 99 point differential, not quite 100. For the Cardinals, 7-7, keeping a slim chance alive that they can win the NFC West. They are a game behind the Seahawks and Rams, who are both in 1st and 2nd. Good stuff for the Cardinals. James Conner, 31.8 fantasy points. Trey McBride, 17. The kicker, Chad Ryland, 14. Drake May, 17, and Demario Douglas, 10. Really only good stuff for the Patriots. Drake May, 202 yards, touchdown, and a pick. Ramondre rushed for 69 yards. Actually, Drake May ran a touchdown. Good for him. Hunter Henry, 4 catches, 25 yards. Probably the best wide receiver on the team. For Arizona, Murray, 224 yards. That was all we had from him. 110 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground for James Conner. Trey McBride, 9 catches, 87 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr., only 2 catches for 32 yards. Cardinals, don't count them out. Don't count the Cardinals out just yet. 7-7. They're definitely going to need to win out. They play the Panthers December 22nd. I definitely have them winning that. Then it's Rams and 49ers. And you just never know at these divisional games. But the way that the Rams have been playing, I think the Rams will have them there. And the way the 49ers have been playing, I think the Cardinals might actually beat them. Game of the week, game of the century. It was fantastic. Bills and Lions, 48-42, a 90-point masterclass. I had Josh Allen in a league, and I was playing Jared Goff in a league. You can't win them all, folks. Let me tell you that. But Lions, their win streak is finally snapped. It ends at 11 games. They're now 12-2. Wow, incredible stuff. And both their losses have came at home in this absolute barn burner. And by the way, Josh Allen MVP. Can we give Josh Allen the MVP? Can we just ship it to his house already? He is a freaking monster. Over the last 2 games, over 90 fantasy points combined. I mean, that's insane. That is utterly insane. Holy cow. Allen explodes 41.28 fantasy points. James Cook had 27. Insane. For the Lions, Jared Goff, 43.06. Amon-Ra, 37. Jahmyr Gibbs, 28. This was an amazing game. Just simply amazing. Bills are now 11-3, the best offense in the league, 445 points for 310 points against. You're not going to see a plus 135 point differential on any other team. Impeccable, utterly insane. And for a team which had a 4-3 road record to get a win here, absolutely incredible. Bills are coming for the playoffs. They're coming for that Super Bowl. This could be their year. Maybe getting rid of Stephon Diggs was the missing key. Maybe bringing in, I don't even know who they brought in, but who knows? They're doing pretty good. For the Lions, 12-2. You know what? But 459 points for, 282 points against. They're still the top dog in the NFC. But hey, they share the same record with the Eagles now. And when my Minnesota Vikings win tonight on Monday Night Football, we're going to have the same record. Oh yeah, game on. This game was just utterly ballistic. I mean, where do I begin? We start off the game, 14 rip, Josh Allen, 2 rushing touchdowns. Crazy. Then Tim Patrick catches a touchdown pass. It's 14-7. Then James Cook runs one in. Next thing you know, 21-7. The Bills are winning. Dan Skipper then catches a little trick play pass from Jared Goff to end the first half, 21-14 for the Bills heading into halftime. James Cook gets things going with a 41-yard run to make it 28-14. Then Khalil Shakir catches a touchdown, and then it's 35-14. Then Amon-Ra catches a 66-yard pass from Jared Goff, 35-21. Bass makes it 38-21. Then Jahmyr Gibbs catches a touchdown. It's 38-28. Then 45-28, Ray Davis catches a touchdown pass. Then Jahmyr punches it in. Then it's 38 to, oh my gosh, my math is getting all messed up, 35. Then Bass hits it, 48-35. Then Jamison Williams catches a touchdown pass, and then it's 48-42, and then an onside kick from the Lions. They almost get it. They were inches away. They almost had the ball. Just send them up. That's all I have to say. And I also want to say that there was no turnovers in this game, which is just utterly insane. No interceptions. I don't know if there was a fumble, but just absolutely insane performance. Josh Allen, 362 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, 11 rushes, 68 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Crazy. James Cook, 14 rushes, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. He went off. Ty Johnson, the backup running back, 5 catches, 114 yards. That's crazy. Khalil Shakir, 6 catches, 39 yards, and a touchdown. Kincaid, 4 catches, 53 yards. Utterly insane performance from the Bills in this one. Lions, Goff, 494 yards, 5 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Jahmyr Gibbs, 8 rushes, 31 yards, a touchdown. David Montgomery, 5 rushes, 4 yards. David Montgomery, I think, got hurt, actually. Pretty crazy stuff. Amon-Ra, 14 catches, 193 yards, and a touchdown. Sam Laporta, 7 catches, 111 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 5 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Crazy stuff. Jameson Williams and Patrick both catching touchdowns. Game of the week. Game of the week, hands down, and I would not be mad if this was the Super Bowl. Let me tell you, if this ended up being the Super Bowl, I would not be complaining at all. After that, Buccaneers blew out the Chargers 40-17. Chargers defense used to be the number 4 defense in the league. They just gave up -4 points. Oh my gosh, abysmal. Utterly abysmal. Buccaneers now have a 2-game lead on the Falcons as of right now. 8-6, 4-game win streak. Also are in the 400 points for category. Good stuff for them. Buccaneers. Good win here. Getting it done. Explosive performances from the offense. Pretty satisfied. Pretty satisfied with this team. Chargers 8-6 now. Playoff hopes are kind of dwindling. They really got to put string it all together. Down the line, Mike Evans, 36.9 fantasy points. Baker Mayfield, 29. Jane McMillan, 18. Ladd McConkey had 16. Quentin Johnson, 15.5. And Justin Herbert, 13.8. Actually, should I have started Baker Mayfield over what's-his-face? Should I have started Baker over Jalen Hurts? Wow, by a 1-point differential, I actually should have started Baker over Jalen Hurts. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy if you ask me. In terms of the game overall, I mean, just a blowout. Just a blowout. You know what? In the second half, you had, I kid you not, 27 unanswered points for the Bucs. Wow. That's insane. That's insane. Tampa Bay, Baker, 288 yards, 4 tutties, and a pick. Bucky Irving rushes for 117 yards. Rashad rushed for 64. Mike Evans, 9 catches, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. McMillan, 75 yards and a touchdown. And Rashad White, 17 catches and a touchdown. 17 yards, not 17 catches. That'd be crazy. Herbert, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Taylor Heineke actually came in and threw a pass. Gus Edwards, 8 rushes, 23 yards. Ugh. Ladd had 5 catches and a tutty. Quentin Johnson, 5 catches and a tutty. Yeah, it's sorry to say, Chargers, but your offense is not good, and your defense is clearly not good. But the Bucs are on fire. Getting that magic they had to open the season, they have it back. And then we ended things for the 3:30 slot, that is, with the Steelers and the Eagles, which I honestly thought this should have been Sunday Night Football, but is what it is. Steelers lose 27-13 to the Eagles. Calvin Austin, 11. Pat Freiermuth, 11. And Russell Wilson, 8. This team was held in check. Jalen Hurts, 28. Devontae Smith, 28. And A.J. Brown, 25. The Eagles were on fire. Except for Saquon. Saquon did not do much for this game. Scoring-wise, I mean, entire game, it was pretty much all Eagles. You know, and second half, 10-0, didn't even get anything going. I don't even know if the Steelers got in the red zone in the second half. It was a pretty rough performance for them. For the Steelers, 128 yards and a touchdown for Russell Wilson. Didn't do much rushing-wise. I mean, 14 rushing yards for Najee Harris was the leader. By the way, you had 5 people rushing the ball. Yeah, everyone was held in check here. This was brutal. 5 catches, 65 yards for Calvin Austin was the best part of the day. As for Philly, 290 yards and 2 touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. Saquon, 65 yards rushing. Didn't do much. Jalen Hurts, 45 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 11 catches, 109 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 8 catches, 110 yards and a touchdown. The dynamic duo gets it done. Steelers are now 10-4. You know, they're only a game ahead of the Ravens, so they've got to be careful. They've clinched a playoff spot, but will they win the NFC North? We'll have to see. As for the Eagles, they've clinched a playoff spot. They're one win away from clinching the division, and they're on a 10-game win streak. I mean, holy cow, this Eagles team is going ballistic, and they have a plus 122-point differential. Utterly amazing. They play the Commanders next week, then the Cowboys, then the Eagles, and I'll be honest, I think they go 3-0 right there. I honestly think they'll beat all of their divisional opponents. It's looking to end out pretty good for the Eagles. For the Steelers, I don't doubt they can pick up some wins, but we'll see if these two teams can rematch in the Super Bowl. I doubt it. Sunday Night Football ended out our Sunday slate with the Packers beating the Seahawks. I mean, come on, Seahawks. You absolutely suck. Are you kidding me? I won't lie. I think Geno Smith might have gotten hurt, but my sweetheart Jackson Smith and Jigba still managed to do an absolutely outstanding job. Seahawks 8-6 are now second in the NFC West. Yikes. Plus 2-point differential. Pretty crazy. They're 3-5 at home, which I absolutely love as the Vikings play them next week. So that does have me feeling very confident about the Vikings odds. So thumbs up there. Although Geno Smith getting hurt does not make me happy at all. For the Packers, 10-4, man. 10-4 in their third in the NFC North. I mean, NFC North, we're top dogs. Unless you're a Bears fan, Bears suck. Bears suck. But if you're a Packers fan, you know what? Good for you. 10-4. They have a plus, I want to say 98 point differential, 91, something like that. It's not too bad. You know what? I found out that I might actually be going to the Packers and Bears game on, I think it is January 5th or something. So, hey, maybe we'll be representing the Vikings as our two enemies play each other. In terms of the game, Josh Jacobs, 21.6 fantasy points, balling out as always. Romeo Doubs on my IR spot, 19 fantasy points. What the heck? Romeo Dobbs, I thought you were injured. 19 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. What are you doing? Jordan Love, 17.5 fantasy points. He did good. As for the Seahawks, Jackson Smith-Njigba, 18.3. Truly the only good performance. Jordan Love, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 26 rushing attempts, 94 yards, and 1 touchdown. Jane Reed, 5 catches, 34 yards. Romeo Dobbs, 3 catches, 40 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For the Seahawks, Sam Howell came in after Geno Smith unfortunately got hurt. Jackson Smith-Njigba, 10 catches, 83 yards was the only bright spot. Charbonnet, the backup running back, had a touchdown on 8 carries. Good for him. Seahawks, I mean, you're really going to need to string something together if you want to win the division. You know, you play the Vikings, that's an L. You play the Bears, you should win that. Then you play the Seahawks, which is the Rams, my bad. Nobody toss up there. As for the Packers, I'll be very curious to see how the Packers wind out. I will. You know, they play the Saints on Monday, December 23rd. Very winnable game. Then they play Sunday, December 29th against the Vikings in Minneapolis, which we always split. But this is just feeling like a really weird year for the NFL, and I think the Vikings might actually sweep them. Then they play the Bears, and if it goes like last time, they should win. So you'll definitely be seeing the Packers in the playoffs, but will they be getting the 6, 7, or 5 seed? We'll have to see. It's probably going to be the 7, in my opinion. I think they're going to get the 7 seed, but hey, maybe they'll get the 6. Who knows? But that's all we got for the NFL. Roll Vikings tonight. Go Brock Bowers. Actually, we're a Raiders and Vikings fan tonight. Go Raiders. Go Vikings. That's who we're riding with. That's all we got for the NFL. A lot of exciting stuff going down as the season winds to an end. But I'll tell you what else winded to an end, guys, which is bittersweet. That is the 2024 UFC season. I don't know what you want to call it, but the year of 2024, the final at a UFC event went down this past weekend. Tampa, it was good. It was okay. We went 8-5 on predictions, which wasn't too bad. Which brings our yearly total to 319 correct and 194 incorrect. That's not too bad. That is not too bad at all. What we go? Plus 125. Plus 125 on picks. I really should bet. Shouldn't I bet, guys? I could have won so much money this year. But it's always tough because, sometimes I start out losing. There's some events I predict them entirely correct. Then there's some where, I don't do too good. But it is what it is. We had a lot of fun. And let's recap all the events. And all the fights that went down on UFC Tampa. Kicking things off, we had a women's strawweight matchup between Piera Rodriguez and Josephine Knutson, and Josephine Knutson is undefeated no longer as Piera Rodriguez wins a unanimous decision. 30-27 across the board. It wasn't even close. We were talking about how Josephine was either going to get out-grappled or do the grappling on our past episode, and she got grappled. 8 of 10 on takedowns for Piera Rodriguez as she gets 10.5 minutes of control time. Significant strikes, 36-26 in favor of Piera Rodriguez. She gets the win. She improves to 10-2 and gets her first win since October 2022. As for Josephine, she's now 8-1, her first UFC loss. It's not going to hurt her too much. Wasn't the most exciting fight. I can't lie. Nothing really happened. There was hardly any excitement. But yeah, Piera Rodriguez wins, Josephine loses. I'm sure they'll both remain in the UFC for some time, and they'll take on a who's who of the lower level of women's strawweights. After that, bantamweight action. This one was actually pretty good. All right, Davy Grant, Ramon Taveras, pretty back and forth action the entire fight. Davy Grant takes on the unanimous decision. But, I can't lie. Ramon Taveras looked pretty good. Davy Grant, 38 years old, getting the win. First win since March of 2023. So good stuff for him. As for Ramon, 10-3 now. This isn't too bad of a loss. His first UFC loss. Till the fight, just got outstruck. Davy Grant was on point with all of his strikes. Outstruck him 39-12 in round 1, 45-25 in round 2, and 63-32 in round number 3. There was almost a knockdown for Ramon Taveras in round number 2, but they ruled it not a knockdown. So probably didn't work in his favor. David Graham still getting it done. I would love to see him back. Would love to see him still taking on these guys at bantamweight. I know for a fact he's still got it in him. I don't necessarily know who. Definitely someone older. I don't know why we have to keep feeding David Grant to these young up-and-comers. That just seems kind of unnecessary. But I'm sure there's a plethora of guys out there. Maybe Jonathan Martinez. I actually would love that fight because, David Grant actually took on Jonathan Martinez, I believe, a long time ago. Yeah, way back in 2021, he knocked him out. And now Jonathan Martinez is coming off some losses, could use a pick-me-up win. I think that would be a fun rematch to do. As for Ramon, unranked bantamweights galore. He's a young, hungry up-and-comer. They're 30 years old, so not the youngest, but I think Ramon Tavares will be back in hungry for a victory. Following that, women's flyweight action as Miranda Maverick took on Jamie Lynn Horth, and finally we snapped our little 0-2 start of the night on predictions as Miranda Maverick takes home the unanimous decision. Just had her number. Just knew what to do. 29-28 across the board. Wins rounds 1 and 3, I believe it was. Miranda outstrikes her 24-15 significantly. Jamie landed more total strikes, 63-61. 2 of 9 on takedowns for 7 minutes of control time for Miranda. 1 of 3 for Jamie for 3 minutes of control time. Back and forth, but Miranda takes home the victory. Really did in the grappling department. Had, one moment where she was almost submitted, was able to reverse it. But good one for Miranda. She keeps it going, and it's now 4 straight. 4 fight little win streak. And by the way, in her last, 7, she's 6-1, so very impressive. Her only losses are to Macy Barber, Erin Blanchfield, and Jasmine Jasser-DeVicious. That's the 4th. That's the 3, 4, and 13 in the women's flyweight division, so not too bad. And I think she should fight the number 11th ranked Tracy Cortez. They were originally booked for UFC Denver in June. That fight fell apart, so I say we just make that. All right, we clearly know how good Miranda is. Jamie Lynn Horth stepping down short notice. Props to her, but clearly wasn't ready. I say she drops back down to women's straw weight and tries her luck with, how about Piera Rodriguez? Let's just matchmake. It's easy to matchmake when they're on the same card. Jamie Lynn Horth, Piera Rodriguez, make that fight. Miranda, good stuff. 17-5 record now. And another decision win. She just keeps them coming. After that, we got our final decision for a while as Felipe Lima beat Miles Johns. I knew he could do it. 30-27s across the board. Outstruck him totally 55-31. Also went 2 of 5 on takedowns for 3 minutes control time. Felipe looked good. Let me tell you, Felipe looked good. 14-1 record now for Felipe Lima. Doing pretty good. 2-0 in the UFC. 2-0 in 2024 for him. That's exactly what he needed. Miles Johns, this is a tough loss. Snapping a 4-fight unbeaten streak. But, 15-3. Miles Johns, 30 years old. Who knows what he's got left in the tank. But, Felipe, 26, getting it done here in the featherweight division. I like it. Truly, I like it. And I already know who I'm going to matchmake him with. It's the loser of our next fight. But Felipe Lima, there's actually a plethora of options. Featherweight is such a deep weight class when it comes to the unranked people out there. So, Felipe Lima, a lot of options. And I actually think I might save Felipe Lima for someone else. But there's always names like Jonathan Pierce or Pat Sabatini if he's not fighting up. You could even go Gavin Tucker. There's Andre Fili as well. Actually, I like the Andre Fili fight. Andre Fili, Felipe Lima, that's what I like. After that, first finish of the night is Sean Woodson getting a finish here. Great win for him. His 4th career knockout. Only his 5th career finish in 15 professional fights. So great win for Sean, extending his unbeaten streak to 6-0-1. So he has a draw in there. So I guess he'd just be 6-0-1. Good stuff for Sean here. Just laying it on to Fernando Padilla. Laying it on him, overwhelmed him, hitting him with rights and lefts, and finally hit him with a cross, and it dropped him. And that was that. Sean Woodson getting a finish. Good stuff. 38 significant strikes in that minute. 2 seconds left for them the round before he got the finish. That's impressive. After the knockdown, it was just a couple follow-up shots, and that was wraps. Absolutely loved it. Padilla, tough loss. He's 2-2 in the UFC. I'd say we give him one more to see if he still got it. So I'd say, if you want to match him up with Miles Johns, that could be an option. But, at 2-2, we'll have to see. Sean, on the other hand, he's looking up. Okay, Sean's looking up. When you're on a 6-fight win streak, 7-fight unbeaten streak, there's just got 1 draw in his last 7 fights. That's pretty impressive. I say we give him a ranked opponent. Now, there's always the 15th ranked Edson Barbosa, but he's tough. There's always number 13th ranked Bryce Mitchell, but I think Bryce has taken on Aljamain Sterling, in my opinion. So I think the number 12 ranked Giga Chikadze is a perfect opportunity for him. Both of them are strikers. Both of them are very good with their kicks, with their distance, with their range, very technical. I think it would provide for a very entertaining fight. And if I think they're going to do it, I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to go to Europe, like Eastern Europe, maybe like Germany, Poland, Czech Republic, maybe even Georgia. I say we save that fight where Giga can fight in front of his hometown, and Sean Woodson can get a good opportunity. So that's what I think should be next there. As for Fernando, we shall see. After that, Joel Alvarez, Jakar Close. I knew he'd get it done, but it's just crazy to see Joel Alvarez, 22 wins, 22 finishes, and he adds to his knockout counter. His 5th career knockout. Holy cow, this guy's going towards the rankings. Just runs through Jakar Close. And it's actually crazy. Jakar actually landed a takedown, and Joel was able to get back to his feet, hit him with a knee up against the cage, went down, landed some other punches to the head, but it was already over once that knee landed, and Joel Alvarez continues his win streak. 3-fight winning streak. This guy's 7-2 in the UFC. And by the way, his only loss is Demirez Magulov, who is 24-3 professionally and just one outside the UFC. And his last loss, February 2022, the number 1 ranked lightweight in the world, Arman Tsarukyan, our number 1 ranked contender, I should say. Islam's number 1, but he's legit as they come. All finishes so far in the UFC, and he adds to his round 1 finish count. This was his 4th round 1 finish in the UFC. He's legit, man. He is super legit. I would love to see him in the rankings. 15th ranked Grant Dawson, 14th ranked Jalen Turner. They can go. All right, we can either have him fight them, or they can just be moved completely away from the rankings. But you got some interesting fights coming up. Beneil Dariush is taking on Renato Moicano. I think Joel versus the loser of that would be very entertaining. I also think Benoit Saint Denis at number 12 would be a very good matchup. I would honestly throw him against number 8 ranked Mateusz Gamrot. I would be that bold. But other than that, Rafael Fiziev needs an opponent. I think he already has one, though, so we'll have to see. You could even do Bobby Green if you don't want to give him a full-ranked opponent. But I think Joel is going towards the rankings, and I think he's in for a successful 2025. As for Jakar Close, tough loss, but I think he'll bounce back, and I think I already have an opponent for him in the next matchup as Michael the Menace Johnson, who is 38 years old, just got his 10th career knockout. Oh my gosh, flatlines Ottoman Essatir in round number 2, and we correctly predicted round 2 knockout for Michael Johnson. It was so entertaining to see. It was round 1, very competitive. 11 significant strikes to 10. Michael failed a takedown attempt, very back and forth, and then round 2, just connects to the face, and Ottoman went out. What a beautiful, beautiful land on the chin for Michael Johnson. It was outstanding. Absolutely loved it. Gave him a $50K performance bonus for it. Just moi. Super entertaining. Great win for Michael. 2-fight win streak. 2-0 in 2024. What a 2024 for Michael Johnson. 2 wins. Incredible. That was the first year since 2018 that Michael Johnson had 2 wins, and the first year since 2014 where he went the entire year without losing. So great stuff for Michael Johnson. Improves to 24-19. Excellent work. And yeah, I think him versus Jakar Close would be a fun fight. I think people are also saying him versus Bobby King Green would be a good fight. I like both of those. As for Ottoman Essatir, 3-fight losing streak. He's been knocked out in his last 3. He's 13-3 now. He's going to get cut. I'm sorry, Ottoman. I'm sorry. But yeah, Michael Johnson is an absolute killer. Great stuff there. With that, we got into the main card, and I correctly predicted that Navajo Sterling would beat Tuco Tucos, but this was a learning experience for Navajo. You could really tell, Navajo coming in 27 years young, minus 500 favorite. He'd been coming in with all knockouts, okay? This one went the distance, okay? And he dealt with some interesting takedowns from Tuco Tucos. 3 of 9, only taken down for 3 minutes and 36 seconds. That was all in round 2, actually. But Navajo outstruck him 21-10 round 1, 22-10 round 2, and 35-12 in round 3. 78-32 total for him. Good stuff, Navajo. When we bring in the new guys, we usually think they're going to come in and just knock out guys like Tuco Tucos, who are clearly past their prime, clearly not UFC caliber, and they just sometimes deal with learning issues. And I think this is good for Navajo. He's gone the distance. We know he can go the distance, and he didn't gas out. Looks strong the complete way through. I'm happy with what Navajo Sterling produced for us. As for Tuco, definitely going to get cut. 0-3 in the UFC. 0-2 in 2024. Yeah, two goes is going away. But light heavyweight division, I mean, Navajo, good stuff. Very happy with what I saw. There is a lot of unranked light heavyweights out there. There's a lot of unranked light heavyweights. I mean, I do not think he is anywhere near ready for someone on the ranking spectrum of things. But there's going to be people out there. I'm trying to think of someone off the top of my head, that's not completely out of the rankings. Zhang Ming Yang picked up a win over a guy named Ozzy Diaz, and Ozzy Diaz could be someone he fights. I think we just give him some pick-me-up fights here and there to really just keep it going. But Navajo Sterling, welcome to the UFC. Kicking off your career, 6-0. Big UFC win. Good work. After that, Daniel Marcos and Adrian Yanez, and I was thinking about pulling the trigger on if Daniel Marcos would lose, but he didn't, and I'm glad I stuck with him as Daniel Marcos beats Adrian Yanez by split decision. I can't lie, it was a close fight, but I thought it was pretty clear 2-1 for Daniel Marcos. Judges' scorecards 30-27, 29-28, and 28-29 was just pretty shocking that Derek Cleary saw all three for Daniel Marcos. Colon saw 2-1 for Marcos, and then Chris Lee saw 2-1 for Yanez. Just always interesting with the scorecards. Totals from the fight, 86 significant strikes to 79 in favor of Daniel Marcos. Goes 2-4 on takedowns for 3 minutes 23 seconds of control time, and he improves to 17-0 with 1 no contest. Impressive stuff through and through. 2-0 with 1 no contest for the year. In the UFC now, he is 4-0 with 1 no contest. So good stuff for Daniel. I'd consider him 18-0. I mean, the O'Gorquin thing, he was winning that fight up until I think he nutshotted O'Gorquin or something happened there, but we'll just leave that be. In terms of this fight, this was, I would compare this to Jonathan Martinez versus, who did Jonathan Martinez just fight? Marcus McGee, where we clearly have someone talented. Marcus McGee, Daniel Marcos, taking on someone who's also very talented in Jonathan Martinez, in this case, Adrian Yanez. And Adrian Yanez just wouldn't pull the trigger. I mean, he got outstruck in round 1, 29-24, and it was kind of like, okay, bounces back round 2, 41-39, and then you just saw a decline. Daniel clearly saw, okay, this guy can strike, so he took him down. Adrian Yanez couldn't really get back to his feet. Marcos would land the bigger punch of the exchanges, and with that, he picked up the win. Adrian Yanez now 1-3 in his last 4, which is not too good. I mean, this was a guy who was once on the verge of the top 10, is now going to be looking at probably fighting an up-and-comer. I mean, for goodness sakes, there's nowhere anyone in the rankings for Adrian Yanez to fight. I say we give him some pick-me-up fights. I've heard people saying he could go to 145, which would be very interesting. But, I mean, as for Adrian Yanez, you just kind of need to take some time off, which, I mean, 0-2, 1-1, 2024, so he did pick up a win in May against Vincia Salvador, who was pretty unknown. So if we want to do something with him, we could do that. I mean, Ramon Taveras, who fought earlier, I think that could be a fight as well for him. But Adrian Yanez, odd result. As for Daniel Marcos, I mean, hey, you are 17-0. All right, I think he deserves a ranked opponent. I think he deserves a ranked opponent. I don't really know who, as I look at the rankings, Montel Jackson at 15, he's on a win streak. Marcus McGee at 14, win streak. Amin Zahabi at 13, win streak. Kyler Phillips at 12 does kind of feel like a bit of a high spot for him. As for Jose Aldo, he called him out. I think that would be a fun fight, and I'm sure people would be very happy to watch Jose Aldo kick his butt. So I would be happy if you did Daniel Marcos versus Jose Aldo. But I also think if Pedro Munoz is not hanging him up, Pedro versus Daniel Marcos would be a great fight. So Pedro Munoz, Jose Aldo, I like both of those fights for Daniel Marcos. After that, holy cow, we went on a absolutely fantastic 3-fight, round 3 knockout spree. And technically it's 4 if we include the main event. So just absolutely crazy spree here. We kicked off with a performance of the night knockout from Dustin Jacoby, who otherwise was just going through a pretty normal fight with Vitor Petrino. I think Vitor was winning 2-0, heading into round number 3, just barely. It was very back and forth striking, really. Round 1, Dustin landed more 12-10. Round 2, Vitor 19-18. Round 3, Dustin had just about 3 more than him. And then out of nowhere, just loads up and connects. And this was, it literally looked side by side. If you were to put the Usman and Masvidal knockout next to the Petrino and Jacoby knockout, they would look similar. I mean, you see the sweat coming off of Vitor's face, his chin hits his shoulder. I mean, he just gets completely slumped out, face planted on the canvas. It was hype. I can't even lie. I picked Vitor to win. He was a minus 280 favorite. He was actually a favorite on the live odds. 27 years old, taking on the 36-year-old Dustin Jacoby. But Dustin had to show the young buck how it gets it done. 20-9 now for Dustin Jacoby. And with that, that's actually his, what's up to 13th career knockout. Very impressive. Ending the year with a 50K bonus. I mean, this was hype. This was super hype for Dustin Jacoby. I was rocking with it. Absolutely loved it. Vitor started his career out 11-0 in 2024. He has put on a mediocre fight against Tyson Pedro, been submitted by Anthony Smith in front of his home nation, and was now knocked out cold by Dustin Jacoby. So, Vitor Petrino, I don't know what's next for you. Someone posed that he fight the loser of Omar Sy and Alonzo Menifield. I like that fight. I think I like that fight, especially if Alonzo wins. I like that fight. You can even do Devin Clark if Devin Clark's still in the UFC, but man, that was electric. Let me tell you that. As for the winner, Dustin Jacoby, I mean, hello, Dustin, welcome back. When I really look at Dustin Jacoby, don't let that 1-4 spree throw you off. The Khalil Roundtree split decision lost. He won that fight. Asma Mirzakhanov fight in April 2023, that was right down to the wire. I'm happy they gave it to Asma, but that was right down to the wire. The Alonzo Menifield lost, same thing with the Asma Mirzakhanov. There was just a moment where he almost got knocked out, and he managed to rally. So, honestly, out of Dustin Jacoby's last few losses, the one to Dominic Reyes is only the real, loss, I would really say. So, Dustin Jacoby, still violent, still dominant, and if Anthony Smith wants to retire, he should, but if not, I think him versus Dustin Jacoby would be a perfect fight. I think that'd work out perfectly. Another one, the loser of Bogdan Guskov versus Johnny Walker. I think that would be a fantastic fight. So, yes, I think we keep this boy around. Even Volkan Ozdemir at number 9. I'm pretty high on Dustin Jacoby now, and it was pretty electric. After that, talk about an entertaining fight. Holy cow. As the number 9 ranked Manel Kape taking on the number 12 ranked Bruno Silva. Just a recipe for success from the get-go. And Manel Kape did not disappoint. I mean, talk about a striking clinic from Manel Kape in this one. It was fantastic. 111 significant strikes of 57. Defended all 5 takedown attempts of Bruno Silva. Just beautiful. Round 1, outstruck him 32-19, pretty much dodging all of his big hits. Round 2, outstruck him 39-27, and round 3 exploded 40-11. He was hitting some crazy combos. It was wild. Finally, he dropped him. People were saying that was on the belt. People were saying that was below the belt, but I think it was above it, right on the chest. And plus, you had seen Bruno Silva hit Manel Kape with not 1, not 2, but 3 nut shots. It was utterly ridiculous. So if Manel Kape got one, it led to the finish. No one really cared. Everyone was kind of like, you know what, it's long overdue. So Manel Kape back in the win column, and I mean, holy cow. His 12th career finish, 12th career knockout, 17th career finish, and 20 career wins. And he's rolling right now. He's rolling. And when we look at his run in the UFC, he's 5-3. Those losses, your champion Alexander Pantoja, split decision to Matthias Nakalo, which I thought he won, and a Muhammad Mokaev fight, which was just a boring grappling fest. I mean, there's just nothing really much to say. Manel Kape is legit. He's here. He snaps a winning streak in Bruno Silva, who had finished his last 4 opponents. I mean, I'm happy. And, he was calling out Alexander Pantoja. He was really calling for that fight. But I do want to point out that he actually holds a win over Kaya Sakura. He actually knocked out Kaya Sakura when he was fighting over in one championship. So, I mean, he's ranked number 9. Steve Erceg at 8, just coming off some losses. So I'd move him out at least up to 8. I assume Mabayev is at 7, but I honestly wouldn't be mad if we moved Manel Kape up to 7. I think a fight with Brandon Moreno would be good. Either a title shot, a fight with Brandon Moreno. I'm happy with whatever. You can even do him versus Amir Albazi, but I think the Moreno fight is what they're really going to lean on. For Bruno Silva, you got Kaya Sakura, you got Joshua Van, you got Charles Johnson, you got the winner of Tigran Bekov and Clayton Carpenter, you got Tim Elliott. There's a lot of options for Bruno Silva. If it was up to me, I'd give him Joshua Van. That'd be an absolute dogfight. But, Manel Kape, post-fight interview, he's going, F Pantoja, F Kai Kara-France, F Adesanya. Then it cut to Adesanya, and Adesanya's going, why is he saying F me? What did I do? It was super funny. So, Manel Kape lighting the crowd on fire, and he didn't say the F word. So, there you go. After that, co-main event, and I wondered, why would they put Cub Swanson versus Billy Cortillo as the co-main event yet again? Sometimes the UFC, their matchmaking's bad. This time they knew this fight was going to be an absolute banger as we get the fight of the night, end of the year, fight of the night. I mean, Cub Swanson, Billy Cortillo. Talk about two guys just laying it all out on the line. I mean, this was fantastic, okay? First round, Billy Cortillo, Cub Swanson, 39-37. Cub outstrikes him. Billy landed a takedown. Cub was able to get right back up. Absolute dogfight. Both men are bleeding. Round 2, Cub, 40-38. Barely outstrikes him. Billy lands 2 takedowns. Dogfight. Round 3, they're still swinging. I mean, I don't know how either of these men are eating shots. Cub has eaten some uppercuts, some knees to the face. Billy has been wobbled so many times. And then Cub Swanson loads up, hits Billy with a hook right across the jaw, and Billy just falls completely flat back, knocked down the middle of the ring. Cub doesn't even land a follow-up shot, just stands over him. And oh my gosh, what a dog. Cub Swanson, 41 years old, getting his 13th career knockout, his 18th career finish. Oh my goodness. 30-14 record overall. Incredible win for Cub Swanson. He did retire, but I mean, he just spoke on some platforms today and basically said if that was it, that is exactly how he'd want to go out, and it's more than likely going to be it. So he didn't retire in the ring. He wanted to speak about his family, but that was your 30th career win. You ended on a fight of the night. You're 41 years old. And you just got an insane knockout to end the year. Fight of the night and one of the better knockouts I've seen of the year. Incredible for Cub Swanson. Should have gave him a $100K bonus. I mean, the knockout and the performance. I mean, holy cow. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I literally was like, oh my gosh, Billy, no. Billy knocked out in front of his hometown of Tampa, Florida. Really sucks, but should have been expected. Billy just can't hang with the big dogs. We've seen it over and over. He beats everyone unranked. Then he loses to Edson Barbosa, Yusuf Salon, now Cub Swanson. So Billy, I was kind of mentioning earlier, I think him versus Felipe Lima would be a great option there. I really like that. Or if someone wanted to drop down to featherweight, let's say, what's his face? Adrian Yanez wanted to move up from bantamweight to featherweight. I think Billy Cortillo would be a great opening fight. But, I mean, Cub should retire. Billy will stay around, but great fight right there. After that, the main event, the final fight of 2024. And I always find it interesting when you look at the first fight of 2024 versus the final fight. So the very first fight of 2024, you had, who was it? Wasn't it? It was Joshua Van TKOing Felipe Bunez. I find it very interesting how we started the year and we ended the year with another knockout. Now this one, it was a doctor stoppage. So Buckley, Covington, Buckley had his number. The entire fight, really. Joaquin Buckley had Colby's number. It was, as a Colby fan, I can't defend him. I don't even have a reason for liking him. It's almost just like when he fights, it's like, it'd be funny to watch him win all the trash talk he'd make. But, I mean, he didn't even seem his normal talk, trash talk himself coming into this. He had a load of excuses after he lost. But, I mean, round 1 starting off, Joaquin looked better on the feet, which is no surprise. I think the best striking you're ever going to see from Colby was going to be his fights against Kamaru Usman. So far, it has been. But he got outstruck 75-37. Total strikes 81-71, favor of Joaquin Buckley. Colby 1 of 8 on takedowns, 3 minutes 40 seconds of control time. Joaquin defended both in round 1. And while shooting for a takedown, he got clipped above the eye, and that eye was just cut right on the eyelid. Wouldn't stop bleeding. He kept touching it the whole time. Round 2, Colby looked much better, but still, Joaquin probably won that. And then round 3, Colby found himself on the ground, but Joaquin was able to get back up. And right when they got up, Dan Mergulado was like, bring in the doctor. Doctor stopped it, and that was that. Everyone's kind of sad Colby loses because he's a money machine. But Joaquin Buckley, we're talking about fighters of the year. This guy came into the year unranked on a 2-fight win streak, TKO'd Vicente Luque. Took an unnecessary fight against Sultan Ruzaboyev and ended his 30-something, or 15-fight win streak. Then knocks out Wonderboy Thompson. And, it's a doctor stoppage. It goes down as a TKO for Joaquin Buckley over Colby Covington. So Joaquin Buckley now stands with 15 career knockouts. It's insane. It's insane. He's on a 6-fight win streak, and he's going to be ranked number 6 in the world. It's insane. It's insane. Joaquin Buckley's going to be ranked above Ian Gary. That's a weird thought to me. Colby probably drop down to, I'm thinking 7-8, probably the 7-8-9 range for Colby. In terms of what's next for both these guys, it's very up in the air. Buckley was on the post-fight interview saying, I'm going to yell at some names. You tell me, you say who you think I should fight. And he said, Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman. I think it was, I can't remember. Was it Bilal? I think he said Bilal. I think it was Bilal, Leon, and Usman. And I think everyone's kind of like Usman. So I think they're doing Usman. I think Leon Edwards would be much better because I think they're going to do Kamaru Usman versus Jack Della Maddalena. That's the option. That's the route I think they're going to go. So I think you do Joaquin versus Leon Edwards and Sean Brady versus Colby Covington would be a competitive fight. I would really like to see Sean Brady versus Colby Covington, which I guess Sean doesn't have to since he fought Gilbert Burns. But other than that, I mean, people are saying Carlos Prates, Michael Morales. I mean, I don't know what Colby's going to do. He's definitely going to take some time off. You know, he makes more money outside the octagon than he does in it. He doesn't even need the fight in the UFC, but, I mean, interesting stuff from Colby Covington. As for, what's his face? Joaquin Buckley, big stuff ahead in 2025. You know, you now have Shavkat, Jack Della Maddalena, Sean Brady, Joaquin Buckley, Ian Gary, Michael Morales, and Carlos Prates. You know, you have a new wave of welterweights, and we're watching it happen live. So, I'm fortunate that I picked Colby and he lost, but at the same time, I don't really care that much about him. A good win for Joaquin Buckley. I'll be excited to see what happens as we move down the line. He might be the biggest riser at welterweight. We'll have to see, but that's all I got for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the NFL season winds to an end. The end of UFC 2024 has come to an end. Was it the best year in UFC? I don't know. You know, 2021 was just a really special year. I think 2021 still might be my favorite year in the UFC. 2022 was also pretty good. 2023 was okay. I don't know. 2021 was just a really good UFC year. It's kind of like that post-COVID year. But 2025, big things ahead. Got a lot of fun stuff planned. Okay, you know, no UFC events. We have nothing to talk about there. But don't worry, guys. We still have weeks 16, 17, 18, wild card, divisional round, the conference games, and the Super Bowl. That's all we got there. And by the way, UFC will be back before we know it. Also, all year end of the year UFC rankings are coming out. We're going to be re-looking at the entire year. We're really going to go through every event, talk about everything that we remember. We're also going to be ranking every pay-per-view. We're going to be ranking every Fight Night main event. I'm not going to do Fight Night events. That was an absolute disaster last year. That was so hard to do. So we're going to do Fight Night main events for the year. We're going to do title fights. We're also going to be doing all of our awards. We're going to give out a ton of awards throughout the year. We're also going to look at my beginning of the year predictions and see if they came true for who I think thought would end the year as champion and a bunch of stuff along those lines. Of course, I'm watching shows. I guess it's tough, guys. Filming myself is tough. You know, I really know that would elevate myself if I bring more guests on, if I can film myself. And I know I need to pull the trigger, but it's just so tough. You know, I don't have a studio. I really do this with just my laptop and a mic and some pieces of paper. You know, I don't have anywhere which I can turn into a studio. And with guests, you know, I'm more busy than I realize. I'm more busy than I realize. And it's unfortunate because I wish I wasn't as busy so that I could just invite people on left, right, and center. But you know what? 2025 will bring big things ahead. And by the way, before we know it, episode 150. What? Are you kidding me? I feel like it was just episode 100. That's all we got for UFC. I mean, incredible year. Incredible stuff. Tampa, there were some highs, there were some lows. Actually, out of the 13 fights on this card, I will say, you know, this is how I could probably rank every single card of the year. Out of 13 fights, I'm going to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the 13 get a thumbs up. The other ones get thumbs down. So over that, 50%. That's all we got. But yes, I won't drag on any longer. Thank you guys so much for listening. I always enjoy you all. Do I get a lot of people saying they listen? I get some people here and there, but you know, occasionally I'll get a follow on one of my sites. Occasionally someone will say, oh, I like that point, and that really brightens my day. So everyone, have an amazing weekend. Christmas is coming up. We'll try and do some fun Christmas-themed stuff. But before that, everyone, have an amazing weekend. Have an amazing life. I'll see you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.